You've already told someone about the thing you're building. The business, the move, the body, the book. And the moment you said it out loud, the moment their eyes widened and they said that's amazing, something inside you relaxed. That micro-relaxation is the problem, because your brain just cashed a check your hands haven't written yet. In 2009, NYU psychologist Peter Gollwitzer published a series of experiments that confirmed something counterintuitive. When people announced their intentions to others and received acknowledgment, they were measurably less likely to follow through. The group that kept quiet outworked the group that shared. Same goals, same starting conditions. The only variable was whether someone else knew. So what's happening under the surface? Your brain processes social acknowledgement of a goal almost identically to progress toward the goal itself. When a friend says, "Wow, you're going to crush it," your reward circuitry responds as though you already did. You get a small hit of completion, satisfaction, relief. All before a single rep, a single page, a single cold call. The emotional fuel that was supposed to carry you through the hard part just got burned in a conversation over coffee. And the delivery mechanism is more specific than you'd expect. Gollwitzer's team focused on what they called identity goals, goals tied to the kind of person you want to become, wanting to be a writer, wanting to be fit, wanting to be successful. These carry more social weight than simple task goals like finish the report by Friday. When you tell someone you're writing a novel, you're claiming an identity, and when they nod and treat you like a writer, your brain registers the identity as partially achieved. The distance between who you are and who you want to be shrinks artificially. You feel closer to the finish line without moving your feet. This is where most people's understanding stops. They think the lesson is just don't jinx it. Superstition dressed up as psychology. The actual mechanism cuts deeper than that. When you announce a goal and receive positive feedback, you create what researchers call a social reality. The goal exists in the shared space between you and another person. It has been witnessed, validated, and your brain treats witnessed intentions differently from private ones. A private intention carries tension. The gap between where you are and where you want to be stays open, uncomfortable, demanding action. A public intention, once acknowledged, partially closes that gap through recognition alone. The tension drops. And tension, it turns out, is the engine. Think about the last time you told someone about a project you were excited about. Remember the energy you had before the conversation? That buzzing, restless, almost agitated drive to go do the thing? Now remember how you felt after. Calmer, satisfied, maybe even a little less urgent. You probably attributed that to the conversation being encouraging. The encouragement was the problem. This maps onto a much older psychological framework. Kurt Lewin, back in the 1920s, described goal pursuit as a tension system. You set a goal, and your mind enters a state of quasi-need, an internal pressure that only resolves through completion. Every incomplete goal hums in the background like an open browser tab. Lewin's student Bluma Zeigarnik later demonstrated that people remember unfinished tasks far better than finished ones. The brain keeps returning to what's incomplete. That's the famous Zeigarnik effect. Your unfinished goal nags you, productively. Telling someone about it and getting praised acts like a false completion signal. The tab closes, the nagging stops. You feel done, even though you've done nothing. Now, some people push back on this. They argue that accountability partners work, that telling someone your goal creates external pressure to follow through. Fair point. And under certain conditions, it does. But the research draws a sharp line between two kinds of sharing. Sharing that invites admiration, and sharing that invites monitoring. "I'm going to run a marathon," said at a dinner party, invites applause. The same sentence said to a coach who asks, "What's your training schedule this week?" invites scrutiny. One feeds the ego, the other feeds the process. The outcomes diverge dramatically. The dinner party version is where most goal sharing lives. Social media amplifies it by orders of magnitude. Every excited to announce post, every vision board shared on Instagram, every New Year's resolution broadcast to 300 followers. Each one is a tiny identity claim rewarded with likes and comments and congratulations. 300 microdoses of premature completion. The algorithm delivers exactly the emotional cocktail that makes you less likely to do the work. And the cruelest part is how invisible the effect feels from the inside. You don't experience it as losing motivation. You experience it as already being on your way. The identity shift has occurred socially. People now see you as the person who's starting a business, or the person getting in shape. You've updated your social profile. The internal urgency to update your actual life fades proportionally. There's a specific window where this damage is worst: the beginning. The first days and weeks of any new pursuit are when motivation is most fragile and most necessary. The initial excitement hasn't yet been replaced by discipline or habit. You're running on emotional fuel. And emotional fuel is exactly what gets siphoned by premature sharing. An experienced marathon runner can tell everyone about their next race because the training is habitual. It runs on structure, on autopilot. A first-time runner telling everyone about their marathon entry is spending the only fuel they have. So the practical question becomes, when do you share? The research suggests a clear threshold. Share after action, not before. Share results, not intentions. Share the miles you ran, not the race you entered. Share the chapter you finished, not the book you're planning. Every declaration of completion reinforces the identity through evidence. Every declaration of intention reinforces it through air. There's a second threshold that matters. Share with people who will ask about the process, not people who will celebrate the vision. A friend who says, "What did you write today?" is more valuable than 10 friends who say you're going to be an amazing author. The first keeps the tension alive, the second dissolves it. This connects to something broader about how motivation actually works. We tend to think of motivation as a feeling that precedes action. You feel inspired, so you work. The research consistently shows the arrow pointing the other direction. Action generates motivation. Movement creates momentum. The feeling follows the behavior, not the other way around. When you announce a goal and soak in the recognition, you're trying to generate the feeling without the behavior. And for a few hours, it works. You feel motivated, excited, ready. But the feeling arrived through the wrong door. It came through social validation instead of through effort. So it fades without leaving anything behind. No habit, no calluses, no muscle memory. Just a pleasant evening and a goal that feels slightly less urgent in the morning. The 1920s tension research and the 2009 NYU experiments are separated by 80 years. The finding held: the mechanism survived every change in culture, technology, and communication. If anything, the digital age made it worse. Lewin couldn't have imagined a world where you could broadcast an intention to hundreds of people simultaneously and receive instant acknowledgement from all of them. The tension release cycle that used to happen in one conversation now happens at scale, continuously, every time you open an app. You've probably noticed this in people around you. The friend who talks about their startup constantly but never ships anything. The person who posts gym selfies for 2 weeks then goes quiet. The cousin who announces a new career pivot every Thanksgiving. From the outside, it looks like a lack of discipline. From the inside, they're full of motivation. It just keeps getting spent in the wrong place. Every conversation about the goal is a small emotional payoff that substitutes for the larger payoff of doing the work. The fix is unglamorous. Keep the goal private. Let the tension build. Sit with the discomfort of being the only person who knows what you're working toward. That discomfort is fuel. Every time you feel the urge to tell someone, to show them the plan, the mood board, the spreadsheet, recognize that urge for what it is: your brain trying to collect a reward early. The urge to share is often the urge to feel finished, and the work hasn't started. When the results arrive, when the thing exists in the world, when the evidence is undeniable, then you share. And the recognition you receive at that point reinforces something real. An identity built on action, confirmed by others who can see the proof. That kind of social reality doesn't dissolve motivation, it compounds it. Your next goal is already forming in the back of your mind. You can feel it. The question is whether you'll let it stay there long enough to become something, or whether you'll trade it for applause before it has a spine.